Okay, this is worksheet factoring 2, and I wanted to do a couple of problems that students were struggling with. One was number 5, x cubed plus 2x squared plus x plus 2. It's got 4 terms, so we kind of figured we're going to do factoring by grouping, and we're probably going to group it these first 2 terms and these last 2 terms, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. And if I look at the first 2 terms in green, I'm going to say, oh, both of these have an x squared in it, so I can take an x squared out. And if I take an x squared out, let's see what the leftovers will be. I had x cubed, but I took an x squared out, so there would be an x left over. I'm going to copy down my plus sign. I had 2x squared, but I took the x squared out, so there would be a 2 here. Now notice that there is an x plus 2 here, and there is an x plus 2 here. So how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to remember that I can write x plus 2 as plus 1 times x plus 2. If you got something like this going on, you're going to want to put a plus 1 out front. Now if you look, we got the x plus 2 in both places. So I'm just going to rewrite x plus 2 as plus 1 times x plus 2 in parentheses. So then I can pull the x plus 2 out. And in my parentheses there, it's going to be x squared is left over out of this term, and plus 1 is left over out of that term. And I'd be done with number 5. Okay, number 6. 4x cubed plus 8x squared minus x minus 2. Okay, if I'm going to group these, I'm probably going to put this together and this together. So let's start on the purple part. Sometimes just getting the purple part done kind of helps you see what the second part's going to look like. So if I look at the purple part, the 4x cubed plus 8x squared, just those two, I see that both of them can be divided by 4, and both of them have at least x squared in them that I can take out. So what's left over there? Had a 4, divided it out. Had x cubed, I divided x squared out, there's an x left over. I'm going to copy down my plus sign. 8 divided by 4 is 2. I had an x squared and I took it out. Now, this right here can give me some insight into what I need to do in the next part of the problem. I look over there and I got a minus x and a minus 2, and I really want a positive x and a plus 2. So, and the other thing that I need to remember is that if I had a negative here, usually I factor it out. And so that's going to be the clue here as to what to do. I'm going to factor the negative out. And if you remember, when I factor the negative out, what it does is it changes the signs on both of those terms. So I end up with an x plus 2. Let's go through that and think about it. Negative x divided by negative invisible 1. A negative divided by a negative would be a positive x. Then I look at the negative 2, divide out a negative 1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive 2. Notice how I wrote that 1 in there to help me. Now if you look, don't I have an x plus 2 in both of them, which is what I wanted. So sometimes use the clues that the first part gives you to help you with the second part. Since there's an x plus 2 in both terms, then now I take it out and I say, well, what's left over? I meant to make that in purple. There's a 4x squared here. And I wrote the invisible 1, so I would remember to put a minus 1 here. Okay, so that's so far so good, right? Well, if I look inside that 4x squared minus 1, I go, oh, wait a minute, that can even break down further because that's a difference of 2 squares. So I'm going to write my x plus 2 down, and I'm going to break that 4x squared minus 1 up into a difference of 2 squares pattern. What do you square? First of all, 4x squared is 2x times 2x, so that's 2x squared. So I'm going to write it like that. 1 is a square, 1 times 1, and remember, this only works if this is a subtraction sign in between, and that's what I have. And I have to remember, oh, that makes one of them a plus and one of them a minus, and now that whole thing is all broken down.